Welcome back to the urban sports scene on Empire Media at empiremedia.com. And it's time now for our HBCU Corner segment. And I would like to introduce our special guest, who is a graduate of Morehouse College. You can catch this guest on numerous platforms, including Sports Illustrated and HBCU Legends. This brother produces amazing content while covering the New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, just to name a few. And he doesn't know it yet, but this is just the beginning of an evolving partnership with the Urban Sports Scene because, Wole, you know, when the Commanders play the Saints in the future, we're going to have this brother on the show again. But welcome to the Urban Sports Scene, Mr. Kyle T. Mosley. What's happening, brother?
Oh, man, look, how much I owe you guys, man. Y'all gave me too much of a compliment at the beginning, so I owe you guys something, man. But thank you for guys having me on board, Ray. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So, like I said, I told you before, we're going to start off with an icebreaker. Typically, when we talk about HBCUs, we like to talk about homecomings and the culture and all, just to get a feel for your perspective on HBCUs. We're going to do it a little different this time because we went to the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, you know, home of Art Shell. You already know what it is. And we're known for our chicken because we are located close to Purdue chicken farms out here in Maryland. But I know other schools like Benedict, for example, they're known for their barbecue. What I want to know is, what is Morehouse known for?
Oh, man. As far as food is concerned, terrible food. No, be honest. When I was at Morehouse, it was in the 80s, man. So we're talking about 84 to 89, right? So when it came to food, we weren't much on food, right? But what we did have, we had Pasquale's restaurant that was very well noted because Dr. King and Ross Abernathy and those guys frequented down the road. So it was more like soul food in that area that was really hot, you know? So if you want to get some good soul food, head down to the Atlanta University Center. You'll get your fair share of that. But other than that, man, Morehouse, we had some terrible food. We like now you guys have tailgating and all that other stuff. Nah, we didn't have tailgating, man. But we had fun, and we had a lot of. If you look at School Days with that Spike Lee produced for Homecoming, that was our homecoming. That was exactly it, man. Matter of fact, Spike was there for the homecomings to be able to produce some of that, some of those segments.
Could you tell us a little bit? Could you tell us a little bit about your Morehouse experience then? Your time in Morehouse?
Yeah, beautiful time, man. We had a lot of great people who came through. A lot of great speakers. I was there. Well, Coretta Scott King was there when I handed in my voter registration card. We had guys that come through who really laid down some good foundation with us. I'm talking about the intangible stuff other than just the educational side. And I think that's what kind of made us feel as though we can go out and conquer the world, you know, as Morehouse men. And I just appreciate that time because I made some great friends who, to this day, 30 years later, we're still great friends. And I appreciate that.
Sweet. Well, you mentioned School Days, and we old enough to remember that, believe it or not. And CEU, that's a DMV thing, you know, that doing the bus. So that's where we were put on the map at the time. So appreciate that reference.
That was hot back then, man. You know, doing the bus, the freak and all that. You know, that's where all that kind of originated from. The guys from DC who were at Morehouse. That freak thing, and people called it the prep. We called it the freak originally, you know. So, and then you had the pageantry, of course, the Queen and all the stuff. AJ Johnson, you know AJ from Baby Boy,
yeah,
who played the mother of Tyrese's mother.
Yeah.
She was my maroon and white queen my freshman year.
Wow.
She still look good.
She still look good. I
Still
know.
look good, man. She still got a nice little body to her. I was watching something on the other day but she's very smart. You know, she has a degree in chemistry, and I have a degree in chemistry as well. Nice. But AJ was a very personable young lady, and I had to appreciate that, because most of the times, because she got a lot of attention, she would kind of be snooty, you would think, but nah, that wasn't her.
Wow.
All right, well, I appreciate your answers, brother, and I set you up a little bit, because all I saw about Morehouse was the food is terrible to this day, and I was like, let me see what he's gonna say. Maybe he'll give me something different, but we can jump right into it now, get into a little more serious stuff, because of course we do this segment to honor HBCU athletics and the history of it, because there is such a rich history of successful athletes who attended and played sports at HBCUs. However, I just don't feel like that's the driving force behind this resurgence. It's more so like Dion and Eddie George and the prominent coaches and the prominent names that are now popping up at HBCUs. How important is it to you that current and future generations know and understand the history as it pertains to making a choice for college, as well as where they're going to participate in college athletics?
That's a great question, man. See, the resurgence didn't really start with Deion Sanders, but if you look back at the movement, what was happening with the young men who were being killed due to the violence that they received from police officers. You look at not just George Floyd, but a lot of these other guys that were having situations that were just horrible and horrific, right? Then you had the resurgence of people interested in knowing the culture, something that they weren't being exposed to. And a lot of young people not understanding that there was a good struggle that went through to be able to help them just to vote, or just to be able to have that opportunity to make a lot of money, or have great employment, or great places to live and everything else. But you still had that divide in America, right? So you have young guys, let's say like Travis Hunter, and I looked at his commentary when he decided to attend Jackson State. That homecoming experience that he had to witness what was going on was like none other. And I think that kind of separated him from, his decision from, let's say, Florida State and Alabama or whomever else, because the intangibles that I spoke of as well. You know, who can say that Coretta Scott King was there when you filled out your voter registration card and handed it in, right? And talked about the importance of voting as a young person and things of that nature. Who can say that you had a influence like a Deion Sanders that coached you? We're talking about not just one of the best cornerbacks, the best, in my opinion, cornerback to ever play the game, and a Hall of Famer. And now he's instilling his passion, his interest, and his knowledge into young people, right? So right now, I think it was a whole snowball effect that kind of built a lot of momentum. And now we're here at this rise of the HBCUs, so to speak. But I recall back in the day, I was at the first Bayou Classic, okay, in Tulane Stadium, New Orleans, 1978? Yeah. No, 74. And the reason why I'm saying that, because my dad was an SU grad. And I saw Doug Williams throw the ball all up and down the field and just destroy Southern that day, man. And then you look at a lot of these guys who came from Eddie Robertson's program back in the 50s and 60s that had such a strong impact on the National Football League, you know, that a lot of people take for granted. And then we know the names like Doug Williams, but there were a lot of guys before Doug Williams. There were a lot of guys before who were just some of the best HBCU athletes that came out of Tennessee State, like Eldridge Taylor, and then you have guys from Alcorn like Steve McNair, and you have so many guys like Willie Totten from Mississippi Valley State. You have guys who were very, very talented, but when it came to the National Football League, didn't give their fair share. Joe Gilliam is another name that you guys need to look up at Tennessee State. He won 2 Black national championships for Tennessee State, went to the Pittsburgh Steelers, played alongside Terry Bradshaw, was a better quarterback.
I heard about him. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Terry Bradshaw. And Terry Bradshaw would tell anybody that he was a better quarterback, threw a better pass and everything, but wasn't given that opportunity. So I think right now what HBCU schools and institutions should do is to continue marketing not only the educational aspect, not only the sports aspect, but also how culturally important it is to become a part of this movement and excel and bring it to a new level.
Awesome. I can hear the passion when it comes to HBCUs from you. And I guess I have a question. You just mentioned your father. He went to SU. You went to Morehouse. Like, where does your passion just come from? Like, you going to Morehouse, your father going to SU, or is it just an overall thing of with your family or your experience at Morehouse?
And well, that's a great question. Let me bring you back some history as well. My grandmother was the first HBCU grad in my family because she attended Atlanta University, which sits on the campus where Clark is and where Morehouse is, right in between. Atlanta University was just like that. You didn't have much of it. But she got her degree in social work. Then she also attended Dillard University. She got an undergrad from Dillard. Then she got a master's from Atlanta University. Then she went to NYU and she did some post-grad work. Then my dad went to Southern. My mother went to Dillard. My aunts went to Dillard. My uncles went to Grambling to play ball. And my godfathers and my godmother went to Grambling. So I have a family nucleus that was either Dillard, Grambling, and Xavier also. I have some people who go to Xavier University in New Orleans. So I had a good mix of HBCU influence. So when I decided to apply for schools, I could not afford Notre Dame, where I loved, I could not afford USC. But when the guy told me about Morehouse, and I said, look, my dad already talked to me about Morehouse, about Dr. King and his influence. Then the guy ran down and said, did you know we had Julian Bond, Maynard Jackson? Did you know that Edwin Moses? I said, man, I just saw Edwin Moses run. A lot of people don't realize he's a Morehouse grad, So all of that kind of, you look at the lineage there, and it just connected and resonated in my spirit. So I applied to 2 schools, Prairie View and Morehouse. Got into both of them. Morehouse, I was gone. And the rest is history, man.
Awesome.
That's crazy because me and Wole, we both got accepted to our school and South Carolina State, and we both chose UMES. That's interesting. I love the history.
I mean, that's an interesting choice there for you guys, because a lot of people would think South Carolina State will be the lick, right?
But you fly out of state.
Out of state fees, man. You just said it. It's money.
Man, I understand. Out of state fees can get to you, boy. Look, at Morehouse, I had out of state fees. And check this out. Nowadays, the tuition is like 30, 40 grand, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about with my out-of-state fees is $4 grand. Think about that.
Wow.
Think about the difference. I could now have. I thought I couldn't afford it then. I had loans and everything. So yeah, man. So it's a difference, but we were blessed, and I was fortunate to be able to do it, man.
Can I say real quick, you were blessed to have the family structure that you had, because when I went to school and the professors, they used to try to tell me, hey man, you know, we used to produce NFL and NBA type athletes at HBCUs. I grew up watching North Carolina, Duke, and Maryland. I'm like, yeah, right, man. These schools, they can't recruit none of these guys. And they used to get so mad at me. I feel bad, but I was immature at the time. I was uneducated, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you had that perspective going in is such a blessing. I just want to
Mm-hmm.
say that. Wole, I don't know if you want to take the next question. I can take the one after this.
No, I mean I can do it. I can definitely have it. So in terms of like, you know, national success and popularity, you mentioned Dion, you mentioned what he's done with Jackson State University, but you know, it always takes that one groundbreaking appearance in a sport, or in terms of a tournament or a big win. Which sport will be the one that changes the whole landscape of HBCUs? Athletics, excuse me.
Well, football is still the dominant force,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's still the dominant force in all of athletics, to be honest with you. Well, I kind of put parentheses around that because soccer is pretty much dominant internationally, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right, around the world. I think the NFL still has the powerhouse marketing effort that sends them a notch above the soccer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we shall see next year. They're going to have a host cities all across America with the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. But when it comes to HBCUs, I think people kind of forget this one thing. University of Miami lost to FAMU in the late 70s.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Now, look at that history there. They beat them, was it 13-10, I believe. It was a 3-point difference. And guess who was the field goal kicker? Vince Coleman, the major league great.
Vince Coleman played for baseball?
Vince Coleman played baseball, was the place kicker for FAMU.
Oh, shoot.
And he kicked a 27-yard field goal or something to that nature to win the game for them. All right? So, and Howard Schnellenberger was the University of Miami coach, which went on to win a national championship, the first national championship for the University of Miami. So what I'm saying is this. If you have a program, let's say, I don't think it's going to happen this year, but it almost happened last year where the University of Louisiana Monroe was on the ropes from Jackson State. And Jackson State almost won that game. Shedeur was still kind of young in his process at that time, through an interception when they could have gone down the field to win the game. But that was going to be a groundbreaking type of win if they won that. But it also sent a message to like Lane Kiffin, Nick Saban, and all those guys that Deion Sanders was not just a fly-by-night coach, so to speak. You know, that was Bobby Bowden's son he was about to beat there, who also years ago had an undefeated team at Tulane. You know, so I'm saying all this to say that it's going to be on the schedule probably within the next couple of seasons that you're going to have a major power going against a HBCU that can contend. I don't know if it's going to happen in the next 2-3 years, but look for it. It's going to happen. The fight is going to be there. I don't know how it's going to end up, but it's going to be one of these type of games that you may have 60, 70, 80,000 people attending as a result.
No, I do agree about like the NFL. I mean, football is America's game. Let's keep it a buck. It's America's game in terms of what it generates in terms of revenue and whatnot. But I guess my question was more towards like why I was thinking like basketball to a certain extent was that you're D1, you play against, you got the opportunity to play these big schools, regardless if they don't want to put you on the schedule. You have the opportunity to play these big schools, but once in every blue moon. But then if you make it to the tournament, you have an opportunity to really play them, like all these powerhouse schools. And if you do damage, it brings attention to your program. I'm doing real damage. I'm talking about get it to the Final Four type of damage.
Right.
Then it brings attention and an individual. And we know in terms of sports, especially basketball, you can definitely popularize the individual a lot more, right? So then a kid who's watching it and watching the tournament sees that he's a hooper, he's a big time hooper. He sees an HBCU school getting to the Final Four, which to me, like March Madness is one of the biggest draws in all of the world to me. And you see that this kid sees that, like that may entice a kid to say, you know what, I'm gonna change the whole landscape by myself. Like I'm not saying like a kid like a LeBron James may be sitting watching it, or a kid like Carmelo could be watching and say, you know what, if I was on that team, we're winning the national championship. We're not just getting to the Final Four. So I guess to me, I think football makes the most money, obviously, and it can change everything what Deion's doing. But I feel like in terms of pop culture, you have that one individual, like that one team that can get to that level. Maybe that can change the landscape just as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, let's look at what Tamika Reed did with Jackson State going against LSU.
Yeah.
Minutes away from a major upset in Baton Rouge at Pete Maravich Stadium. You understand?
Yeah, I agree.
How that was, and I make jest, but Kim Mulkey was stressed. You saw it on her face. We're talking about the National Coach of the Year, Kim Mulkey. She won that award again last season. And she was going to be beaten by Tamika Reed's team. Some questionable calls down the line and all this other stuff. You can argue, but that's how close it was. So that would have been one of those earth-shaking type of upsets that could have propelled a program and have somebody say, yeah, I want to now attend an HBCU basketball program, right? Right now, Johnny Jones does a great job at Texas Southern with his program. You guys got some good squads in the MEAC, very, very good squads in the MEAC, and good talent in the MEAC.
Yeah.
Right now, Robert Covington is the only HBCU guy in all of the NBA. And he's been in the NBA for a long time. Out of Tennessee State. So think about that, man. Robert Covington is the lone HBCU guy.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's got to change. And it kind of is a good segue to my next question, because we are hearing a lot of prominent voices now advocate for HBCUs. You see the progress. You see the Morgan and Howard game at NBA All-Star Weekend. I always mention that as just one great example of just the exposure. But with that being said, how important is it that future prominent coaches at HBCUs, that they actually played and succeeded there? Like Jerry Rice is a great example. I caught your interview with him, and I understand where he was coming from in terms of like the demands of the NFL and then coaching, how he won't have any time. But I feel like it took Deion Sanders, going to Jackson State to start to motivate folks to return to HBCUs. So how important will it be for a voice who actually played there and lived that culture, lived that life, and got the education to now lead the next generation, as opposed to somebody like Chris Paul who didn't go to an HBCU?
That would be important. That could happen, but I think most likely it may be a couple of years before something like that happening as well, right? Emmett Smith told me something last week that was pretty interesting about Deion Sanders. He said, who understands not only the football aspects better than Nick Saban does and everything else. He's played the pro level at the highest level. He's done everything at the highest level, right? But he also understands the marketing aspect, how to market. And when he went to Jackson, he brought a team of guys with him to help market the brand for Jackson State, right? That's the one thing some of the reporters that I have conversations with know, that Eddie Robinson used to do the same thing. He marketed, helped to market the brand of Grambling. And I think until we have more coaches, and you see this with Tamika Reed, she's doing a good job at it. We have more coaches that are able to now understand that you're not only excelling as a head coach or putting the X's and O's out there, but you also have to be articulate enough to, and not only articulate enough, but have that ability to influence people to want to know what your brand is doing and being a part of your brand, right? Hugh Jackson has his great NFL experience, wasn't highly successful as an NFL coach, let's be honest. But Hugh came from some championship programs from USC, has been a part of some championship caliber teams. And that kind of helped him out when he first got the job at Grambling to start recruiting guys. And you've seen him take guys left and right and get certain major commitments as a result, right? So until we get more guys who are, maybe there's some guys from HBCU programs who would like to come back in and help out. And when Jerry Rice told me that he was interested in possibly becoming a head coach after he saw the success in Deion Sanders, where's the commitment is going to be the next step. You can have the interest, but where's the commitment and where's the passion going to be there? And I don't know, I don't see anyone else at this time that has that.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see somebody like Shannon Sharp increase his presence. I know he's doing big things on TV, so I wouldn't be mad for him to stay there. But I just want to shout out Tamika Reed and Robert Jones, Larry Scott, Kevin Brodus, people who signed extensions and agreed to stay at HBCUs when they've had opportunities to go elsewhere, probably to make a little more money. So I love the investment. I think we're getting to the right place. But something that you said as well just made me think, and this is my last question. It's been good having you, of course. We've had some recent discussions on this show about marketing, about profitability, and the cost of HBCU football games in particular. Some feel like they need to increase in effort to gain more revenue for the university, or for the universities, I should say. And then also marketing needs to improve across the board, especially in the MEAC. What's your take on ways HBCUs can increase revenue and profitability? And also, how can they improve the game day experience? Or how can we improve the game day experience?
Fans have to become engaged, right? If you want the ESPNs to showcase your and feature your games, are you having enough fans in the stands? Where's your social media presence now, able to market what's going on? And are you laying out a certain schedule where these guys can follow and want to follow? Are you having enough excitement with the wins and losses versus the losses, right? Nobody really wants to support a losing cause, but you want to take it for granted sometimes to say, just because, let's say my school, just because of your Morehouse, you want to support them. No. And even back when I was in school, homecoming was huge because all alumni and everybody came and we played like Howard or somewhere to that nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky State was another team that we played. Surprisingly, we won my senior year over them. But where I'm coming from is this, Ray, is that you've got to win, you've got to market your program, you got to create some type of buzz and excitement with the fan base where the dollars are going to be willing to exchange, right? Jackson State right now sits on top of all the FCS schools in attendance. They average like 40-something thousand a game sometimes, you know. And then you look at Mississippi State and Ole Miss and places like that. At times, they are outpacing the fans that they have. Okay, so how are you engaging the community around you as well? That's another one, man. I like the fact that last year Dion said, hey, we got to have a family day experience where people in the community can come at a cheaper price, pay for a ticket, come on in and be a part of this. That's planting a seed for the future. And it also is planting a seed for where a young man who may not feel like he can go to college, but has athletic ability can say, well, maybe I could stay home and in Jackson and go to college, right? Or Southern University doing the same thing. Oh, SU is right up the road from New Orleans. Maybe I just need to go to SU, or I need to stay around Grambling, Zachary, wherever, you know. Those are the things that are important, and you know, even in your community in Maryland, guys. I was just in Virginia this weekend. I saw the communities around Norfolk. I saw the communities around Hampton. What are they doing to engage more people? I'm not saying they're not, but those are the things that's going to be important to be able to have successful programs.
I definitely agree. I think a lot of HBCUs need to take advantage of like social media and trying to engage the audience to kind of, like you said, kind of get them in to say, you know what, I want to support them, because I think a lot to me, not naming any of them, not going to put anybody out there, but some of them are real dormant when it comes to social media.
Yeah, and you know, you have so much talent in the school itself. You have young guys who may be a part of a marketing class, or maybe that's their major. Why don't you have them helping you out?
I agree.
Why, to be able to get class credit or something to that nature? Wouldn't that be a smart move to have a full-time? If you don't have enough to be able to enough resources to say we're going to hire somebody, use the students, use their abilities, their talents that they have. There's communication departments. Have them work with those guys. You have stations, radio stations on campus or whatever. Have them to be a part of that type of stuff. You know, I always felt you create the buzz from within, man. You know, instead of outside.
No, I agree. I definitely agree. So I have one last question before we let you go. A little lighthearted, but you know, I think that to me, it's very interesting. You've interviewed a number of notable HBCU athletic alums. To you, which one was your most enjoyable interview?
Just the alums or the sports?
HBCU athletic alums. Yeah, just athletic alums.
Okay. Out of athletic alums, that would have been, of course, Deion Sanders.
Okay.
But get this. My favorite interview was Wanda Sykes.
Oh, okay. We can go that route. Okay.
She from DC. DC.
Yeah, she's Hampton, right? HBCU grad, and she was promoting the All-Star game, HBCU All-Star basketball game, and Wanda and I just had a great time just cracking up and enjoyed that interview, you know. So that was one of my favorite interviews, and it wasn't a sports related guy. So that was pretty cool. But
Awesome.
the thing about Coach Sanders was he asked you questions in return.
Ooh, okay.
And if that tells me that the interviewer is interesting to the interviewee,
true.
and that helps engage, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, all right. So, what was your favorite time in school, Wale?
Oh, my favorite time in school. What year? I would say that was my sophomore year. Cause I just cut loose. I cut loose because I just like Ray would tell you, like I was Ray. What would you say?
You realize you didn't have any structure. You could kind of
I didn't have any structure. I was,
you as a freshman, you still conditioned.
My parents pretty much they held me down. So as a sophomore, it was more like, all right, it's my time. I've arrived.
Got you. All right, so Ray, how did you keep him in line?
How did I keep him in line? I pretty much did what he asked, to the point where we took a speech class together. I'm serious. I said, I'm gonna support you, whatever. And we played Madden in front of a class as part of a speech. And it went horrible, as you can imagine, but that's what he wanted to do. So I supported that. I'm so serious.
This is so true. This is so true.
Well, look, man, it's good. I'm gonna tell you this, man. It's good that you guys are friends, number one, right?
Yeah.
Because to have your friend to be a part of a journey with you to build a business, a brand, is important. I lost my best friend. He was with me with Saints News Network from the second year I started on until he passed away 5 years ago. And we had the best times together, man. And you guys are going to have some great times together. But learn together, respect one another, and also grow and don't stay in the box. Try to work on what you're doing. Work on your craft, right? And I'm telling you, guys are going to have so much fun in the process. Because I never thought I would be in a position to talk to the all-time leading receiver, the all-time leading rusher in the game, as well as the best cornerback to ever play the game in all 1 year. And I had that blessing to be able to talk to Jerry Rice, Deion Sanders, as well as Emmitt Smith. And it all became something because I loved and I was passionate about sports, and you guys keep y'all passion as well.
Wow. Yeah.
Hey, listen, real quick. My bad. I know we gotta let you go. How big? Just give me one word, maybe. What was the magnitude of that SI cover with Deion and Shador, like that Jackson State cover?
That was huge. 28 years. No HBCU college was featured. Since Steve McNair, the Heisman story that was on the cover, 28 years since. And to have Coach Prime, his son, and Travis Hunter on the cover was huge, because that's showing you they're taking notice. You understand?
Yes, sir.
And I shared this story, and I'm not belittling SI when I share this story, but they weren't buying into HBCUs over a year ago. It took them some time to understand that this could work. And I'm fortunate and I'm blessed and I'm happy they gave me the opportunity to be able to cover HBCUs. Now, I don't work for them. I'm in partnership with them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, I own Saints News Network. I own HBCU Legends, and I own Pelican School. So we're in partnership together and working together to try to make it happen. And it's been a great ride. So you never know where this is going to go. You never know where urban sports is going to go. You never know what you guys are going to do and grow into. Just keep on grinding. Don't give up. Be tenacious.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate having you. I don't know if you want to close out with sharing how people can reach you on social media and also where they can
Sure.
check out your content.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you, Ray and Wole. I appreciate you guys. If there's anything I can do in the future to help you guys out, let me know. Always hit me up, But you can find me, guys, on Twitter at KTMOZE. And you can also find HBCU Legends at HBCU Legends and Saints News at Saints News as well, and Pelican Scoop at Pelican Scoop on Twitter as well. But you can go online to our Sports Illustrated sites under the Saints, Pelicans, and HBCUs. So we are there and we're covering every day. Just let me know what we could do to make it better. We're looking for guys to come on board as well. So, hey, I'm recruiting. I'll do a Suge Knight. If y'all want somebody to...
I love it. I love it.
If you don't want the editor all in your stories and come on down to the HBCU Legends, man. Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, well see, well they know I used to write for Fox Sports Radio too, and another freelance site. So yeah, this experience might be something I might be interested in. No doubt.
Look, man, we are growing, and the interest is there out there right now. It's a great opportunity for a young person to groom themselves and learn. Right?
Definitely.
All right. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much. Tell make sure Zion ships up so Zion plays right. All right, Zion plays right, man.
That food is too good out there. Y'all eating too good.
I don't know if you saw the last photos of him, but he looks pretty cut these days, man.
I know. How'd he do it so fast, though, man?
Money. Money. I think he also understands the importance of being healthy to be able to take it to the next level. That guy is so talented, man. The Pelicans, I believe, would have been able to get past the Phoenix Suns that first round if they had Zion.
Yeah,
they needed to have somebody a little bit more aggressive on the boards those last couple of games that they fell to the Suns. But Zion, he's going to be important, man. He's going to be very, very important. If he stays
rare.
Healthy,
he's so rare.
Yeah, it's very important. And also, I just think the addition of CJ McCullough makes everything flow even better.
I think they need another veteran. I think they need a veteran with a championship pedigree to help them out. It may not have to be a starter. It could be a guy coming off the bench to support them, or someone who has a good locker room presence to help them out. I think that's one thing that's kind of missing right there.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
All right. Well, I'll definitely reach out. No doubt.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys.
Appreciate it.